Hi everyone, this is Osam Bali and today I'm walking you through the VF Core Service Discovery project. If you worked on life science websites, you may have come across the Visual Framework or VF Core, which is a CSS framework for life science websites. So what's the VF Core Service Discovery? It is a utility that allows developers to analyze the usage of VF Core in their own projects. The project was born out of the need of reviewing the usage of VF Core across a whole website, namely the COVID-19 data portal. The task was somewhat daunting and required manually checking each component for changes between versions. Alongside this requirement, there was another requirement from the UX. They wanted to see the visual changes between a version of a component and another one. As of the version 0.1.0 beta 4, VF Core Service Discovery offers the following. It checks which components are outdated, retrieves the status of the component, retrieves the change log between the installed version and the latest version of a component. It also checks for dependence for each component, so which files are using which components. For now, it only looks at HTML files. And also it does a visual comparison between the outdated version and the latest version of a component. So let us look at a demonstration. First of all, let's head over to the project. So this is the project in GitHub. And here you can see the documentation of it. You can install it using npm or yarn locally in a project or globally if you want to use it as a command line tool. As you can see here, there is an example, basic usage of it, and also if you want to use it as a module, you can do so. For example, if you want to integrate the VF Core Service Discovery in your own build tool or in your own CI/CD pipeline, you can do so using the module example here. And also you can see here the command line interface documentation, and as well as the module documentation, which is hosted in its own GitHub Pages website, as you can see here. And so let's start. So here is a example project. So let's look at the package JSON. As you can see here, we have three Visual Framework components, and if we run the VF Core Service Discovery after installing it globally, you can see this is the output. For example, for VF Footer, we can see that we are using the latest version. As you can see here, the used version and latest version. The status of the component is live and it has no dependence, meaning that it's not used anywhere in the project, so it can be safely removed. This is for the HTML part of it. For now, it doesn't support Angular, for example, TypeScript templates like in the TypeScript file, as well as JSX files. For example, in this component here, we have that we are using the 2.2.0, whereas the latest one is 2.3.0. And as you can see here, the change log between those two versions is this one here. Similarly, we have used in here for VF Grid 1.03, whereas the latest version is 1.4.0. And as you can see here, the change log is the following. Now let's look at how to format the output. Let's say, for example, I want to see only the outdated components rather than all of the components. So VF Core Service Discovery run, and then let's say I can't remember the commands help. Here we can see different options. As you can see, the usual ones like verbose, the location of the log file, whether to force it, the running of the command basically bypasses the cache, and so on and so forth. We are interested in only the outdated components, so this is the one. So let's run that. Run only outdated. Yeah, and here you can see only the outdated components with the installed version against the latest version. Now let's say that you want to save the results in a JSON file instead of just showing them in the command line. So we can do the following. So let's look first at the help page. As you can see here, we have where is it? Yeah, we have reporters here. So there are two different reporters, CLI and JSON. So let's use the JSON one for now. Run reporters JSON. Right, and here it says the report has been saved in this file here. So if we open that file, inspect it using this, as you can see, it's an array of discovery items, as you can see here. So a discovery item is composed of the name without the prefix Visual Framework, the used version, and the latest version with all the package JSON attributes in here, and the configuration of the component, as well as the dependents, like which files are using that specific component. As you can see, for example, in the case of VFBox, we have also variants in the config, so you can see the variants and so on and so forth. Let's say we want to run both, we want to see both reporters, so JSON and the CLI. So you just do this. It will run the VF Core Service Discovery, and it will print in the terminal as well as in the JSON here. Another feature that might turn useful is the feature to disable certain steps. For example, let's look at the help page. Run help. So here we have the disabled option. So it will disable the any optional steps that you want to be disabled. As you can see here, let's say that we don't want to see the configuration bit. So let's run that with the disabled option. Disabled get config. And as you can see here, we don't have any configuration entries. Let's say that I want also to disable, let's say, the dependents. Okay. So we have it here, get dependents. So space and then get dependents. And here it is. We don't have any dependents as well. Another nice feature is when you want to see the difference between the components, that is visually. So let's look at the help page first. As you can see here, we have the option compare versions. So let's run it. Run compare versions. So it will run as usual. And in addition to that, it will open a local web server where you can see the components visually. Okay, so it uses the Fractal framework, and here you can see the latest version and the old version of each component. For example, let's look at box, and here you see the various variants of the box. Let's say normal, and then the old component, and let's look also at, as you can see here, they are the same. Let's look for grid, for example. Grid, we have different variants for the latest version, as you can see here. However, for the old version, we don't have such a thing. So this is the first visual difference, or even the difference in usage of the HTML, as you can see in here. Now let's say that you are a contributor to the project and you want to see the performance of the tool and how it does for each function. So we can run a profiling of the performance using the profile option. So let's run that. Let's go to the top. As you can see here, the profiling information is returned here, and it is split between functions. As you can see, getting the exact version takes this amount of time in milliseconds, getting the package JSON, the config, and so on and so forth. As you can see, the get dependence is the one that is heavy, so maybe there needs to be some performance improvement on that side. And this has been a tour of the current features of VF Core Service Discovery. There are many other features and fixes in the project pipeline, such as supporting more project types, Angular and React mainly, adding reports on the usage, such as percentage of usage of a certain component, as well as rolling out the beta to more developers and collect feedback, as well as getting more developers to contribute to the project. Thank you very much for listening. This has been Osama Bali, and there will be links in the description to the project repository itself, as well as VF Core. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.